Hi there, I am Matt, and I am here to take you into the fantastic world of evaluating websites. So, one of the greatest advantages of this technological world that we live in is that all of the information in the universe is right at our fingertips at all times. One of the biggest drawbacks of this technological world we live in is that all the information in the universe is at our fingertips, and some of it might not be true. Shocking, I know. I mean, as anybody with a social media account will tell you, if there's something in my head that I want backed up, I can find that on the internet. Let's take something as simple as the upcoming presidential election. Let's say I want to find out who is leading in the polls and by what margin. If I flip over to MSNBC, I would see that currently, according to them, Joe Biden is leading in the polls over Donald Trump 51% to 40%, or a margin of 11 points. But if I were to flip over to Fox News, Joe Biden is still leading, but it's 49-41. So there's only a margin of 8 points, which seems a little bit easier to handle. So why? What's the point? Well, first of all, if my only question is who's leading in the polls, well, they're answering that for me. But if I'm wanting to know the margin, I have no idea. There's no possible way. The reason for that is, if I were to look, Fox News, they swing a little bit far to the right. Meanwhile, MSNBC, they swing really far to the left. So what they're going to do is they're going to put out information that supports their own biases. And we don't want to use biased information if we're trying to put out factual information. So what does that mean to you and your research? Well, if you're going to find the most accurate information for your research, for whatever you're presenting on, you're going to want to use these 5 steps for evaluating your website. You're going to want to look at the accuracy, authority, objectivity, currency, and coverage. Let's take a look at them step by step. Step 1, we're going to look at the accuracy. This is the easiest one to look at, honestly. Look at the website and see, is it well written? Are there spelling errors? Is it grammatically correct? What is even the purpose of this website? If you're looking at a website and there's a ton of spelling errors on it, or they have statistics that they don't back up, or anything like that, that is a red flag right off the bat, and you probably shouldn't use it, even if it does say exactly what you want it to say. Next, we look at the authority. By authority, I mean who in earth made this particular website, or wrote this article, or whatever you're trying to do. Can you identify the author? There are a lot of websites out there, one of which we're going to see in a little bit, where you don't know who wrote it. The organization takes full credit for it, and that can be a red flag as well. Also, we want to know, what is this author's credentials? If I know who they are, what are they known for doing? Are they known for being biased? And things like that. Now we move on. Next is objectivity. What is the goal of this website? If I'm looking at something and it is telling me that I need to use a certain product and ads for that product are all over that web page, well, they're trying to sell you a product. That's what they're trying to do. Even if that information is backing up something else you're trying to do, they're not doing it. What they're wanting to do is sell you something, right? So we want to know what is their purpose for having this information out there, and will that be helpful to you? It's nice over here. They also let you know you can even just look at the domain and find out exactly what you want to know. If it is a .edu, well, it's an educational site. So that's going to be your colleges, your universities, your high schools, things of that nature. .gov is a government site. So anything that has to do with the government, they're going to have a .gov. .com is a commercial site. These are the ones you need to look out for. These are the guys that their advertisers are driving them. Okay? .org is a nonprofit. You still kind of need to look out for them because sometimes the .orgs, their main purpose is for you to donate to them, and they'll say whatever it takes for that. .net is a network, and they're even nice enough to let you know that countries have their own domains as well. So, for example, .uk is from the United Kingdom. Next up is currency. When on earth was this page created? Are there any dead links? If I want to get you the most factual information using a website that was created in 2008 and has not been updated since, probably going to be a little bit out of date. So I should probably think of another website to use. Next up, we have coverage. Is the information complete? Is it comprehensive? Do they cite their sources? Do they provide links to additional information on that topic? If it's true, I should probably back up my information, and I should be able to give you some links to get more information. Also, they include in there, is this site free? Do I have to pay to get information from them? Do I need special software to get this information? These can all be red flags whenever we're doing this kind of research. So let's see this in action. I found this great resource on the RMIT website where they were evaluating Greenpeace. Let's say I'm doing a presentation on conservation of the environment. Well, I might look at Greenpeace. It's a nonprofit. They probably have some good information, but I'm going to want to go through my 5 steps. So if I start with accuracy, well, it lets me know already they've looked at that. It's very well written, but there's some emotive language and imagery. So they do write very well. There's no spelling errors. It's grammatically well, but they're also trying to convince you of something. Okay, so there could be a little bit of a red flag there. Going on to authority, who wrote it? Remember I said some websites don't give the author's name. They just give their organization name. Greenpeace is one of those. Most articles are written by Greenpeace rather than the individual. That could be a red flag, to be honest, because who knows who wrote it, and who knows whether or not they are even have the authority to do so. Next, let's go with objectivity. So we know what the objective of Greenpeace is. It's all about conservation and the environment. So they're definitely going to give detailed information on conservation and the environment. Also does say, though, they're politically charged and would agree with the environmental movement in general. So we're going to want to maybe keep an eye out for that. Currency, when was it created? Copyright date, 2020, with many up-to-date news bulletins and clips. Awesome. We are good there. Coverage, this is free. It's a free website to use, but it's going to want you to donate money to take part of its organization. So while I am looking at it, I know that any article they have in there is promoting Greenpeace. So in my opinion, using those 5 steps, if I were looking at Greenpeace, maybe I could include their information, but I'm also going to want to include an additional piece of information in there, one, if not multiple, to back up whatever I am looking at. An easier way of doing it, I actually found on a different website. It was put on by Kathleen Morris, and she put out this little flow chart. And it lets you know how you can kind of evaluate a website on the fly. So first thing, she gives some great information, because if I'm doing a research project, I don't want to have to keep clicking the forward and back button on my browser. So she already starts off with some awesome information. Open the site in a new tab so you always have your search results. Skim read it. This is where we're looking for that accuracy. Is it easy to understand? Is it useful? If yes, does it answer what question I'm wanting it to answer? If yes, is it a credible author or site? If yes, does it meet my needs? If yes, is the information current enough? Here's another thing I love about this flowchart, okay? If at any point in time, any of those yeses was a no, it tells you, go back and try a different website and alter your search terms if needed. And even if every single one of these answers to these questions is a yes, still cross-check your info on other sites, because you still could have a biased site there and not even know it yet. All right, so you've seen me explain it. Now let's get a little bit more practice doing it on the fly. I'm going to give you an example of a bad website to use, and an example of a good website to use for different purposes. Let's start off with a fun one. Let's say I am trying to be a little more carb conscious and I'm wanting to know the dangers of bread, and I stumble upon this website. So I'm going to go through my steps on the fly. The accuracy of the website. Well, first off, just in the first sentence, I'm a little bit skeptical. A recent Cincinnati Enquirer headline read, I don't know much about the Cincinnati Enquirer. I can look them up. But just the word Enquirer kind of reminds me of the National Enquirer, so it'd be more of a tabloid, probably not a really good site to use as a reference. Authority, I'm assuming it's by this guy, Jeff Metcalf, but it doesn't give his name anywhere on this information. It is letting me know the dangers of bread. I don't even have to read the whole article to know that. And so it also doesn't let me know when it was written. Okay. One big red flag that is not included in those is right here. If the website says it is not secure, that is another red flag. Secure websites are going to be more accurate than not secure every time. Okay. So let's see here. More than 98% of convicted felons are bread eaters. Wow, that's statistically significant, I guess. We even have a $4.2 zillion fine on the biggest bread manufacturers is one of their bread restrictions that they offer. This doesn't really seem like that good of a reference point if I'm wanting to do a presentation on the dangers of bread. But just to be sure, let's dig in a little bit further, right? Let's take it over to Google. What I did was I went ahead and I just copied this first fact up here that 98% of convicted felons are bread eaters. It could be accurate, it could not be, but I went ahead and put that into a Google search. And what it came up with was this right here. All right, so that's all the facts that I had there from someone else. We got Fallacy Detective. That's probably not a good sign. And we also have Snopes. Snopes is a website that does some fact checks for me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what it comes up with is that is false. It is giving false information. If I'm looking at that, now I know. Okay, if I scroll down a little bit further on the website, I find out why it is false. It lets me know that this tongue-in-cheek warning is heralding the dangers of bread. It's been part of the online world since 1998. Guess what? That included my currency part. This is from 1998. Even if it was completely true, 22-year-old information is not considered accurate anymore, right? I can think of a lot of things I did in 1998 I wouldn't even think of now, right? Let's talk about JNCOs for a little bit, or let's not. Okay, so going back to my website, got the dangers of bread, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use that. It's not going to meet my needs. Put a big red right on it. So what about on the other side of the coin? I want to put myself in the hot seat here and let you know how I found some information, whether or not I was going to be able to use it for this presentation that you are watching right about meow. For that, I bring you the Greenpeace evaluation from earlier from RMIT. What in the heck is RMIT? Well, I know MIT. They're in Boston. I don't know RMIT. So if I'm going to use them, I'm going to want to know a little bit more about them. If I just go to their website, here's what I find. RMIT is a university. This university is in Australia. I can even look up here. Remember when we were showing the domains? It's rmit.edu. It is an educational site. And .au means it is educational in Australia. All this so far coming up golden. But I still don't know anything about RMIT. Never been to Australia. Wish I had been, but I haven't. So let's go ahead and go over here. We Googled it. I Googled RMIT University. I know that it is formerly known as the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. That makes RMIT make sense. And Melbourne Technical College. And it is a public research university based in Melbourne, Australia. It looks like it cost 9,000 Australian dollars, 27.18 to go there, and in 2016 it had enrollment of 84,000. That's not really that accurate anymore because that information is 4 years old. But I know a lot more about RMIT, and I think they're legit. And honestly, I wasn't even using them as a source of information. I was just using them so that I could look at how to evaluate a website, and they did a pretty darn good job of it. So for that purpose, I'm going to go ahead and give that giant smiley face. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. We've already seen how to evaluate a web page. We've already evaluated 2 web pages together. Now I want to send you off with what you need to be successful evaluating websites in your future. First off, if you're just doing it on the fly, keep this flowchart in mind. Open that site in a new tab. Don't forget that. Open a site in a new tab. Open a site in a new tab. By the way, open the site in a new tab, right? Skim read it. If everything seems okay, does it answer your question? Yes. Is it credible? Yes. Does it meet my purpose? Yes. Is it current enough? Yes. Use other sites as well. If any of those are no, try a different website. Another handy dandy resource you can use that I found, you can get by just simply scanning this lovely QR code right here. Once you scan that QR code, you're going to be taken to this handy dandy website evaluation form put forth by Kent State University in Kent, Ohio. Starts off with your normal stuff, right? You're going to be filling out all the information about this website. Once we go a little bit further down, we find all 5 steps, even with examples here. So we're going to put in our evidence, and then we're going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, for our authority, objectivity, accuracy, currency, and instead of the word coverage, they use the word usability. In the end, you down here at the bottom, you have where you put the total number of points that you have and a scale on how to evaluate whether or not that was a good website that you found there. And once again, if you need that QR code, there it is right there on your screen. So that's it. You are now a master at evaluating websites. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to know more about what's going on in my educational world, feel free to get in contact with me, mbowerspt@olatheschools.org, or follow me on Twitter at 180mattbpt. Till next time, see you, bye.